Hey, what's up guys, Victor with PhoneArena here, and today we'll be comparing the Xiaomi Mi 5 against the Apple iPhone 6s. Let's start right away. Design. While most people associate devices made in China with unoriginal and often uninspiring designs, the Xiaomi Mi 5 shows that it does not have to be that way. It's a beautiful phone that features a tapered glass back, sturdy metal frame, and all of that in an elegant and slim body that feels solidly put together. The iPhone 6s, on the other hand, is a metal affair with a small, comfortable size that fits well in the hand with those rounded edges. The iPhone 6s is noticeably heavier than the larger but more airy Xiaomi Mi 5. Both the Xiaomi Mi 5 and the iPhone 6s don't have the most pixel-dense displays. The Mi 5 features a 5.15-inch screen with a resolution of 1080 by 1920 pixels, while the iPhone 6s has got a 4.7-inch display with a 750 by 1334 pixels. We won't complain about the resolution on both. Both displays appear very sharp, though not as sharp as the latest Quad HD displays. In terms of color, the Mi 5 stands out with its very bright and vivid display. It's really astonishing how good a display can look with such a high level of brightness that animates everything, and with very deep blacks and great contrast. The iPhone 6s on its part also has a very good looking display. Now, for its interface, Xiaomi is not exactly copying Apple as much as it did before, but it's obvious that the company is still inspired by Apple. It does not use an app drawer in its MIUI 7. Many apps share the same DNA with similar icons and menu style, and unlike Apple's closed platform though, Xiaomi still runs the open Android at its base, meaning that you have easier sharing options and wider customization capabilities, with themes that change the appearance of the system almost entirely. Xiaomi also has a few tricks up its sleeve that are unmatched on the iPhone. You can, for instance, record all your calls automatically without the need for a third-party app, which we find useful. So what about the advantages of the iOS platform? They're quite evident. It's just better ingrained with the realities of life in a Western country like the United States. It's got things like App Spotlight with contextual suggestions, Apple Pay, the great notification center with widgets, cool and useful Apple-made apps including Apple Health, Stocks, and so on. And this could be a deal breaker though. The Mi 5 has very limited 4G LTE support. Chances are it won't work in many European countries, while in the States it will fall back to 3G speeds, as it does not support the major LTE bands. Even in many parts of Europe, lots of European carriers rely on band 20, which the Mi 5 does not support. The iPhone 6s in stark contrast supports all major bands for its target markets, and with full 4G LTE support you will get faster web page loads and downloads on the iPhone 6s. Looking at the benchmarks, you'd see that the Apple A9 on the iPhone 6s is the slightly faster phone in terms of single-core performance, but the Snapdragon 820 chip on the Mi 5 approaches it very close. The actual performance and speeds are handled a bit differently. On the iPhone it all feels smooth with fluid transitions all throughout, while the Xiaomi feels more abrupt, with less animations, and both are fast but just in a different way. It's worth noting that the Xiaomi Mi 5 comes in 3 different versions. There is a base lower clock Snapdragon 820 version with 3GB of RAM and 32GB of storage that is the cheapest of them all, a mid-tier that has a regular Snapdragon 820, 3GB of RAM and 64GB of storage, and finally the upper tier Mi 5 with regular Snapdragon 820, 4GB of RAM and 128GB of storage. And like the iPhone, the Xiaomi Mi 5 also does not support a microSD card slot, but its base version has double the storage of the base iPhone, which is quite the advantage. Now, what about cameras? What about image quality? Both do a very good job, but the iPhone is a step ahead. It has juicier, more pleasant to the eye colors, and it is a bit faster with its shots. Detail is also higher and the overall dynamics of the image are much livelier. The Xiaomi has a tendency to capture images with a comparatively toned down colors and was just not as consistent. For video, both are capable of recording at the awesome 4K Ultra HD resolution as well as 1080p at either 30 or 60 frames per second. There is a slow-mo option on both as well. The iPhone is superior for video. It focuses faster, but also video quality has sharper detail, handles better the changing exposure, and is more stable. Turning to audio, the Xiaomi Mi 5 is neither very loud nor too clear. It lacks depth, and even in its highs the speaker lacks clarity and pronunciation. It's okay, but not great by any means. Then you have the iPhone 6s with its single button firing speaker that sounds surprisingly better, and better than most smartphone speakers. It has depth, it manages to bring out the low tones, and has clarity in the highs as well. Specs can be confusing, and that's the case with batteries. The smaller iPhone battery manages to provide more real-world battery life. The iPhone 6s has a 1750 mAh battery cell, while the Xiaomi Mi 5 has a 3000 mAh juicer. In our battery test, the measly iPhone 6s battery outperforms the nearly twice as big Xiaomi Mi 5 by a notable margin. In our test, it gets more juice, around an hour more screen time, and then there is recharge times. Neither of the two phones support quick charging, and that's a letdown in our book. It takes more than 2 hours for both of these phones to fully recharge from 0 to 100%. So we end this with reminding you that the Xiaomi Mi 5 is not a phone meant to be sold or used in the US and Europe. It's only available via unofficial channels, but dealing with warranties and repairs could be and would be a huge pain. The Mi 5 overall feels like a high-end phone. It has the stylish design and solid build quality. It has the very fast performance, speedy fingerprint scanner. It has a decent battery life, good camera, and has a few neat features in its MIUI interface that are great for power users. And it has a very beautiful and bright display that impresses. It's a great device that works well for most occasions. Nonetheless, the iPhone has the upper hand with its very reliable and smooth performance, great selection of apps and games, the better camera experience, and with its services that work well in the United States, things like Apple Pay and Apple Health. If you want something different and new though, an experiment with the Xiaomi Mi 5 will be an enjoyable adventure. Still, with no warranty and service, it remains exactly that, an experiment.